Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight on THEOSOPHIA, Esoteric Studies, we have a special edition of the Diana Montford Show, and she is interviewing someone who should be no stranger to our listeners, Pamela Joy Fernsler. Greetings and welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing phenomenally well, and I will be here if you need me.
Okay, great. Well, hi, Pam. I've waited so long to interview you.
Ditto here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's cut right to the chase. About the mystery schools, can you tell us about those?
I can tell you about the mystery schools. In fact, I have actually written a discourse about them that I sent to Amor, and waiting for permission to tell it to the rest of Philadelphia. So you are going to be the first to hear it if you show it.
I'm honored. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. It's called The Secret of the Secret Society. But first of all, the word secret is always mistaken for an adjective. And in this case, it's a noun. And that changes the whole perspective. So a new friend introduced me to several books on ancient mysteries, and it was from comparison to other sources in my possession that the word secret and secret societies is not an adjective, but as I said, a noun. Now, as a preface, mystery schools are as ancient as the human race. Their design is to help humans evolve. And this is pretty much the secret. It's been passed on through various information and rituals at times, from the Illyrians to the Atlanteans to the Egyptians to the Greeks, the Romans, and let us not forget the Hindi, who have the oldest universities so far as we know in the world, and from whom a lot of the information came to the Greeks, the Romans, and the Egyptians. That being said, and interrupt anytime you want. If you have a question. Each society.
So this would be, excuse me. So this would be divine revelation that you're talking about.
Oh, I don't know so much divine revelation as the idea hit me, and it's like, okay, this is cool. I will write about
like more
this.
evolved souls would contact us here on nasty little planet Earth and, inject us with a certain amount of spiritual wisdom that we would then pass on to our fellow human beings, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Occasionally I do write these. I have another one in the works as well called The Magic and the Word, in capital letters. And I have yet to finish that. Isis is helping me with that one. So it's evidently the same secret throughout history, as I've said, and the evolution of mystery schools and the particular information they present. But are those rituals and knowledge irrelevant now? Indeed not. The lineage of mystery schools was established when mankind began to evolve into solid material form. Rosicrucians, like the Fellowship and Amor, two different ones, trace their mystery school lineage from the Egyptians, who may have carried it on from the Atlanteans. And before them,
now, excuse me, you are a Rosicrucian, aren't you?
I belong, yes.
Uh-huh.
I belong to several mystery schools.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the one.
What are the others, if you don't mind sharing?
That will come in a few minutes, if you don't mind waiting.
Okay.
Okay. And like I said before them, the Lemurians, which H. Spencer Lewis, who was the current founder of the ancient mystical order Rosicrucis, he wrote about that, as well as Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. The evolution of mankind through form and then how to use it began with the mysteries of the material form, evolving eventually into sports and exercise. But at the time, nerves had not been developed sufficiently to carry internal messages to a brain that had barely begun to develop. And in fact, and this is an aside, the brain still cannot replicate itself, its cells, like other parts of the body can. As the internal body developed, so did mysteries of health, which today we know as what and how to eat properly. Blood types developed, the first being O, the next A, the next B, and the latest one being AB. Individualization was starting to occur. Medicine was next to evolve, and thinking came into being. When thinking appeared, religions were contrived to assist people in standardizing practices and behaviors. Holy writs were designed to keep us from harming each other and ourselves. Mankind was and still is learning to work with matter, which is essential for mastering creative ideation. Any questions?
No?
Okay. The secret of any society is to assist mankind in evolving. As mankind evolves, those who are ready to move ahead are directed to a mystery school offering updated information toward their particular path. These societies, whether given information through esoteric clairvoyance or hired teachers such as pastors, world teachers, and earthly messengers in contact with a particular entity, have but one secret: to evolve humanity. At the onset, it was as groups. As our bodies and minds march toward individuation, relevant information and practices must be updated, lest those who should move ahead not be kept back. This shows us many variations we can apply through laws of nature and the universe, and by the three primary forces of life, life, and love. In the Christian mystery schools, there are the Rosicrucians, the I Am Ascendancy, and Martinists. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, sort of.
Okay.
It's too complex to be answered in a simple way, though. I mean, where's the information channeled by the mystery schools coming from?
Pardon me, I had to call there.
No problem.
Most of the mysteries have been through clairvoyance, like Annie Besant and Madame Blavatsky, some others like Max Heindel.
Yes, but my point is, where are the clairvoyants getting their information?
They get this from the Akashic records, and they're like the third party. The first party is the beings who direct this information to them through the Akashic realm. And the Akashic realm is actually open to everybody at this point. But only
it's actually what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's open to anybody who wishes to access it, but there are certain ways to do that. And if you just ask to do it, you don't get much of an answer. Did you get off of there? Oh, come on, Pat.
I've had several Akashic record readings, and they change your life for the better once you know why you're doing what you're doing and with whom you're doing things, you know, your friends, your family. It certainly makes a huge difference.
No, in the Midwest, there was somebody we had a workshop with, Donna Fox. Spells her name D-A-H-N-A. And the last name is Fox. And she was very good at accessing Akashic records. She taught us how to do that in our specific group. And we did that with each other and covered a lot about not only our past, but our past lives.
Now, you told me...
the Edgar Case Foundation has a way to do that, too. It's not something...
No, I know. And that is where, when I had my Akashic record readings, I believe it's pronounced Casey, actually. I had someone named Sylvia Chappell from the Edgar Casey Foundation, guide me through Akashic record readings. Now, you stated when we were talking before this show that you and I had had at least one life where we knew each other. I think we've had more than one myself.
I'm
but
pretty sure
can you tell us something about that?
We had a life in Persia together, and we were very close. Probably not as sisters, but as administrator and administrative assistant, that sort of thing. In fact, he was responsible for getting me to Persia. I didn't start there in the first place. But I was traveling with my family, and one of the princes in Persia said, I want that one, and he made it happen. However, that was probably for the best, because we accomplished a great deal of stuff.
Well, as Hercules will tell you, from the first time I heard you on a podcast, I was absolutely enthralled and said, who is that person? She's great. And, you know, I've always felt very comfortable and familiar just listening to your voice, even before I'd spoken with you. It's like, oh, I know her. It's like, hello, old friend. Hi. Welcome to the 21st century, you know? Funny, huh?
Together with another person, a male at that point in time, we arranged for different representations to different kingdoms, sort of like representatives and ambassadors and stuff like that. That's what we did. Rather successfully, I might add.
Fascinating, yeah. So, excuse me, I think I strongly urge anyone who can to have an Akashic record reading, because really, truly, it will change your life. Here's a dumb little anecdote of my own. All my life, I'd had lower back pain. And I had my first Akashic record reading, I don't know, 10 years ago. And it turned out that I'd been stabbed in the stomach in Hadrian's Rome. And as soon as I found that out, the chronic lower back pain that I'd had all my life disappeared, and it's never come back, thank God. And I think that maybe, I guess the knife, you know, did something to my lower back or something. I don't know. I was stabbed in the stomach, but, you know, excuse me. So, really, anyone who can have an Akashic record reading, have it, you know, save up for it. Consider it a treat you're giving yourself, you know, and certainly you might try the Edgar Casey Foundation. They are wonderful. They have wonderful readers and psychics, and you can trust them to be for real, you know. Do not call something like, you know, California Psychics or something. I have a hunch they're not for real. That's just a hunch I have, you know. See, I'm psychic. So great. So now before we went on, you told me that mystery schools tend to devolve, i.e., go downhill and become organized religions. And you could say that religions are basically created to instill fear and to divide human beings from one another. So that's a shame that
wasn't the initial purpose. It was to spread the knowledge that the mystery schools had as common knowledge. It was to make sure that the law is written in their hearts, rather than on stones or tablets. You know, there are like 613 laws that are written in the old Pentateuch, but they still obey today. They were not meant to last. They were meant to make common knowledge. And then those people, well, there would be among some of them those who wanted to go ahead and thought there is more to life than this. And they were right. And so the mystery schools present new knowledge. And the purpose of rituals is to get the subconscious organized. So it's like your subconscious is like your hardware program. It keeps things running when you're not even paying attention. And it helps you make decisions on the fly just by what you have in there. Now, the software...
In other words, it's a kind of code of ethics that you can fall back on when you're stumped as to what to do.
Right. And if it doesn't work and you say, okay, I need to change something because this isn't working so well now. But most people don't. And they should. I have changed a number of times over my life. Every time some divine wisdom, as you call it, comes to me, it's like, okay, well, this just shatters every myth that I ever had. But I go ahead with it because it makes life better for me.
Okay, well, now, what do you say to people, excuse me, who are very fundamentalist and have a very biblical outlook on life and are very, very literal when it comes to the Bible, i.e. the earth is 6,000 years old, even though science has proved that it's infinitely older, and, you know, that we only have one lifetime, no serial lifetimes, you know, and I mean, you get very discouraged talking to people who are so completely dogmatic that they do not wish to grow. They think you're the devil if you try to awaken them to other possibilities. That's very difficult to deal with, you know?
Don't try to persuade them otherwise, which sounds probably weird, but this is their path in this life. They have to be firm about it, because in the past, probably sometimes they weren't and made a lot of mistakes. So this is their steadiness in this life. When I talk to Christian fundamentalists, I open up with a verse. Say, here's what I think of this. What do you think? I don't try to put science into there because immediately their walls will go up. And I don't try to, you know, if you try to talk people out of their belief, it may be an enemy, but you want to show them some respect too. And if you can do that, you get somebody who's more willing to listen than not. I've learned a lot about communication in my lifetime. And sometimes you just can't judge. You can discern, but you can't judge.
Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, you know? Yeah.
And the horse obviously doesn't want to drink from that trough, but something else.
Yeah. Now, you're a pagan, aren't you?
I'm polytheistic, mystic Lutheran. That's what I tell people.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I'm a polytheistic, mystic Lutheran.
There you go. Okay.
It covers pretty
much everything. In other words, you were reared in the Lutheran faith because you're of German descent, but you have outgrown the dogma of contemporary Western organized religion, but in a kind of sentimental thing, you still cling to your Lutheran roots, that kind of thing, right?
My Lutheran roots, because once I went into a cathedral in Kansas City, Catholic cathedral, scared the crap out of me. I thought if I
used to be Catholic. I'd scare the crap out of it. They're crazy. Yeah, I know. They're insane. Yeah.
I call them the new Jews.
Well, you know, Catholicism is Judaism light. It evolved or devolved from Judaism, so it's very, and it's certainly dogmatic, and they tell us in the Catholic religion that, now don't read the Bible. The Pope will tell you what to think. And as though the Pope has some direct pipeline to God, which they tell us he has, and it's always a he, of course, aside from Pope Joan, and she had to pass as a man. And, you know, it's, they despise intellectual achievement because, of course, if you think, you see the holes in their story, and they answer that by saying, well, it's a holy mystery, you know? Like if you say, well, the Virgin Mary can't be a virgin because Jesus came out through her birth canal and now she's no longer a virgin. They say, well, it's a holy mystery. You know, I mean, it's about governing people and making them afraid and getting money out of them. It's terrible, you know?
Yeah, I do. So if I can go on with this little dissertation, there's more things in here that will probably blow your mind.
Honey, you have to just tell me to shut up because I talk a blue streak. You'll just have to say, shut up, I want to talk now, and go ahead, talk, tell me.
Okay, I suggested that one of the Mysteries is to get them all written into the heart, like the soul. The mind and the heart have to do the alchemical marriage. And this was even put down in the Christian Bible, Romans 2:15. And it was radical enough when the concept of reintegration of the Martinists proposed thousands of years ago, presented by an Egyptian pharaoh, was misunderstood to replace dozens of deities. It was initially meant for such beings to guide humanity into a creative mindset, rather than give them up entirely. By the time of Christ,
excuse me, could you slightly change your position, because your voice is a little fuzzy on the phone? If you could be louder and clearer, is that possible?
How's this?
Better.
Is this any better? Okay,
oh,
good.
God, yes. Much better.
Okay, because interestingly, there's a ley line running right through my library. This is where I'm sitting. So all I have to do is center myself a little bit better in the library, and we get better reception. Now, by the time of Christ Jesus, Christ was the archangel who worked with Jesus. This concept still had not taken hold, and thus his appearance was to nudge the mass of humanity into the correct direction. The concept of the Christ presented was as radical as the previous idea of the integration of the It is this: when the law is written in our hearts, we don't need mediators, even Jesus himself.
I'm sorry, you don't need what?
Mediators.
Oh, okay, good.
Anyone at any time could directly contact the Creator. See Mark 6:5-8. This even more radical idea that one should not treat the Creator like a magic genie or wish granter could not yet be accepted by everyone, but the concepts were established. Now, even today, when people pray, they say, I need this, I want that, I want this, I want that. They're still treating the Creator and the mediator like wish granters, and that's not what was supposed to happen. So we have two radical concepts now that are not being utilized, even after thousands of years. We have the reintegration and the law in the heart. And the idea that you can contact the Creator, him or herself, at any time, directly.
Now, is the Creator an entity, or is it a body of law, or is it, I have to go into my bathroom because we're having a thunderstorm outside, so I hope I'm not echoing too much.
No, you're not.
Is the Creator an actual being, or what,
The Creator is a natural being. In fact, he is the great central sun of our galaxy. And from him emanates everything that goes on in this galaxy. All the creations, all the emanations. Of course, he has others who are divine. We call them divine entities at this point in time. He's some of that for him or her. He is both genders and yet neither.
Okay.
He is everything. Or she, as you may prefer. While we're thinking in dual terms, it's not easy for us to think of something as one gender that's actually living.
So the Creator is basically non-binary, is that it?
Non-binary. It's unity.
Now, if the Creator fosters unity among human beings, would you say that organized religions are at cross purposes with the Creator because they tend to create divisions?
We are at this point, yes. This is why there's mystery schools, to teach those of us who have had experiences understand that there is something more intimate, if you will, that can be had. And as these mystery schools evolve themselves, their information changes. As humanity grows, so grows the mystery school. At this
How
point,
did you
it's the
get
end of-
interested in all this?
Well, now there's a story there, and you may have heard this before, but some of your listeners may not. When I was a teenager, I was scared of going back to an institution that treated mentally ill children. And so one day, I said to this, what I understood is the God of my heart and the God of my realization, if you exist, I would like this to happen, and in return, I'll be yours. And for 6 years, I waited, and on February 15th, 1971, it did happen. We were trusting an evil spirit from a cemetery near Kutztown, Pennsylvania. He was following us, not to take us over. And he tried first once with one, and he kept moving, and then another. And then I stopped moving. I was behind him, and I said, now's the time. Save me if you will. And at that moment, I turned and walked back to the back part of the campus where I was staying. And there was snow on the ground, and it was hard. It was a little bit icy. And there was a pine tree. It was not there anymore. There were 3 pine trees, and there was one I used to sit under, and I used to play my flute for God, if you will, or sing to him. Try a just personal relationship, like it says. It said right there in the Bible I could have it, so I tried it. Even to tell a teenager, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I paused at that tree, and I was standing on a little bit of a mound. And right there in front of me, a yellow orb appeared with 12 equilateral triangles all around it. And even asked me the math of that because I couldn't tell you. It was golden yellow, and it was intelligent, and it was warm, it was beautiful, it was everything Earth isn't. And I just stared at it for a moment, and I realized what it was I was seeing, and I knelt down. And at that point, I guess I was the most clairvoyant I've ever been in my life because I could see everywhere I had ever been in this life up to that point, as if there was no obstruction. And,
Would that be akin to a life review after someone dies?
Oh no, this was a living experience. I wasn't dead.
No, I know that, but I mean,
yeah.
you saw your entire life, and
No,
you know.
I saw places in my entire life that I've been up to. In Kutztown,
You saw what in your entire life? The connection isn't very good.
Places.
Oh, places, yes.
Places. Like if you try to normally see Chambersburg from Kutztown, there are mountains in the way. You couldn't see it, but I saw it. So I saw places. And
Well, let me ask you, how old were you in 1971? If you don't mind my asking.
20 years old, 10 months, and 10 days. Which, if you add up those numbers, is the mystical number 40.
So you were born in 1950?
Oh, yes. April 5, 1950.
Oh, you're an Aries. Good for you. Well, you're very strong then. Good.
Well, I'm more than an Aries. I'm the whole chart.
There you go. And why were you, if you don't mind my asking, why were you in a mental hospital?
I had what they called emotional illness. They relabeled it as childhood depression later on. And it was thought if you kept a child away from the things that caused it, they would get better. And I did. And I was able to go home. But to get back to my story, which is not ending, after I saw that, there was a vine tree where I used to deal personally with God, was facing a white light. And as I stood there, thousands of tiny silver objects entered my brain. And that kind of blew the whole concept of miracles out of the water, because I was having one right then and there. I was in direct contact with what I thought was God. And from that day on, whatever he or she wanted, I did it. And
Why do you think you were chosen when so few are?
Because I chose first. And he chose back.
I see.
It's like I'm not famous. I don't come from a wealthy family. I have nothing to recommend me except my desire to reintegrate with what I thought of as God at that point in time.
Well, Christ wasn't famous, and he didn't come from a wealthy family. And look how well he did. So there you go, you know.
Well, he had people helping along the way. I mean, at that point in time, people opened their homes to traveling rabbis and stuff like that. It's just what they did. And they fed them.
Yeah.
In fact, Muhammad, his wife, Fatima, was the sole provider for their group. She came from a wealthy family. She was provided everything.
Your parents must have been pretty astute to see your depression, hmm?
Nope, not at all.
Well, then how did you wind up in a hospital? Did a teacher recommend it or what?
At that time, a pediatrician recommended it. He said he knew of a place, and this was torn down. It was outside Westchester, Pennsylvania. But it's been torn down since 1962, and it's probably got all sorts of cul-de-sacs and residential estates and stuff like it. There used to be a farm down there, too. And as I understand it, they sold the land to real estate developers. So now it looks nothing. Absolutely nothing like it did when I was there.
Are you bitter about having been consigned to a mental hospital as a teenager?
No, I wasn't a teenager. I was 7 years old.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, but 7-year-olds are strange to begin with. How would they know that you're, I mean, 7-year-olds are strange. They do silly things. Labeling someone basically insane at 7 is insane, you know?
Maybe nowadays, but in the 1950s, they weren't that strange.
Well, I'm only 6 years younger than you are. I was born in 1956. And, honey, I was the strangest thing anybody ever saw. And nobody stuck me in a mental hospital, so there you go, you know.
Well, I also had epilepsy, and I would do blackouts, that sort of thing. And,
I see.
Yeah, my behavior wasn't normal, as they said at the time. Of course, when they put me in the hospital, I only know what they told me I did, because I have no memory of doing it. And they used to have quiet rooms. They would take...
you're indistinct again.
They had quiet rooms where I was put, and I had a room of my own. But you know how they had those heaters along the wall? They were low to the floor, and they would. I don't know if you had that in your house, but they would convey heat to the rest of the room.
They would do what in the rest of your room? They would look in?
They would convey heat to the rest of the room. They were like little registers along the wall.
Well, I was never in a mental hospital. I don't know.
Okay, well, it's saying it's an architectural thing. Is what they had. And what I used to do was they used to give me little bits of paper money and stuff, and I would put them in there, and they would catch fire. Like, I was outraged that I was taken from my family. And so for this behavior, they put me in what they call a quiet room with a mattress, and that was it.
How long would you be there at a time?
No, it could have been minutes, it could have been hours. I honestly don't know. But finally, one of the psychiatrists there finally figured out what I was going through. And he led me from that darkness back into light. And his name, I'll never forget it because he saved my mind, Dr. Israel Charney.
You're indistinct again. Are you angry with your parents at all for letting this happen to you?
Probably. But what does a 7-year-old know? Just emotions. You're not even into thinking yet. So anyway, long story short, I got to go home after 2 years. And to reintegrate into society normally. I did. But I was always afraid there was something in me that would make me be sent back. Not realizing that they had progressed from hospitals for emotionally ill children to outpatient clinics so that the child would not be separated from the family. I had a sister and 2 brothers, too. And in effect,
did you have siblings?
Yes. I had a sister who was younger than me, and then my brother who was younger than my sister and me, and then my brother, another brother who was the youngest. So it was 2 girls first and then 2 boys.
The other kids must have been afraid that that would happen to them, so they sort of towed the line and behaved themselves. It must have been traumatic for the entire family to send you to the hospital.
It was. In fact, my sister tried to emulate my behavior so she could get sent to the hospital too.
Why?
She wanted to go. She wanted to be with me. We were very close. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's sweet.
It is. But it wasn't the best thing she could have done. But she was only 5 years old. What did she know? She just knew.
Did she go to the hospital?
No, but she tried to imitate the epilepsy, thinking that was what got me sent there. But it wasn't.
Now, we all have karma, and we all pay our dues on this earth. Obviously, that was part of your karma, but that made you the person you are today. It's one of the things that made you the person you are today. So taking the long view, it was sort of a boon, wasn't it?
It was what I needed. It
Yeah.
was tough, but it was what I needed.
Sometimes things that seem unfortunate turn out to be the most fortunate things in our lives.
Okay. Let's see. I don't even know what time it is. The monitor screen went off again. I have no idea what's going on with this computer.
Hercules?
Here.
Something's wrong with the computer?
No, it's my computer.
Now here,
And
several systems ago, we have approximately 12 minutes, unless you guys want to extend a little bit because we started a little late. And here the thunder showers are extreme. The house is shaking. So there's a chance that something might go awry on that end. So I'm asking the storm to abate its fury until we finish.
I'm in my bathroom to avoid the noise of the storm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fierce.
Would you like to continue this another time, guys?
Well, we have 12 minutes. We might as well aim for the 12 minutes. But if all of a sudden I'm no longer here, or if everything's discontinued, it means we have a thunderstorm problem.
Okay.
Well,
Diana, you don't have email, do you?
Well, that's sort of, I do and I don't. I don't know how to use it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, because I was
A wonderful friend of mine named Lucia was doing my email for me because she was computer savvy, but sadly she died of long COVID 2 years ago.
Oh.
And I'm learning now. I'm learning to, yeah, well, I just came into the realm of cell phones 20 years later than everyone else. So I'm learning this stuff, but I am not a mechanical person, and this is uphill all the way. So, you know, I'm doing my best. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Me, on the other hand, I have Venus and Jupiter in Aquarius, which means, give me some technology, I'll run with it.
Well, also, you were probably around on Atlantis and would be well versed in the intricacies of technology that they had there, which dwarf our own pathetic little efforts at technology.
Well, here's something for your listeners to think about. There is a place in South America which is underground and probably can be found by LIDAR, if you know what that is. LIDAR, LIDAR is like underground X-ray. They can see the patterns of what was underneath the ground that's been grown over for centuries. And it's how some archaeologists are finding things. But there's a place that has Atlantean technology and has been guarded ferociously by a tribe down there. And the only people who can manage that technology are people like you and me. We know what to do. And some of that is coming out in films.
But what films?
Oh, like Doctor Strange, like some of the Marvel characters and some of the DC comic characters, the movies that are being made, the science fiction films. They're introducing concepts to us that we now know, like Star Wars, the Force. This is the creative force of the universe that they're actually using.
Well, that's why I asked you, is the creator an entity or is it, you know, a body of law or, you know?
It's everything. All in one. The three forces of light, light, and love emanate come back. And those are intelligent, actual entities, if you will. To us, they're abstract concepts, but they're actually living beings with one sole purpose.
Where do you see the Earth heading? We seem to be in such a difficult time right now when it comes to strife and division and all sorts of things. Are we ever going to be, a more peaceful, empathic planet where we all understand one another? Or are we always going to be crazy savages killing one another?
No, we're not going to be crazy savages. We are at the end of an age, a very dark age. And I'm sorry,
we are where?
At the end of a dark age. The Hindi call it the Kali Yuga. And it lasts for about only 6,000 years, but it's very intense. And we are at the end of it, where there are those who are trying to hold on to the darkness, as you can see, obviously. And those of us who are in the light, who are dissolving it as it comes. It's not going to win. I've been into the future 250,000 years, and we make it. And that's what keeps holding me on. I've seen it.
So there's hope for the future.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
That's really wonderful to hear. That's because so many people today are discouraged by so much. You know, constant wars, inflation, poverty, homelessness, all sorts of terrible things that are befalling so many people.
We have 5 more minutes. Would you guys like to continue past the 5 minutes, or would you like to wrap up there?
Why don't we wrap up? Because there's going to be a whole lot more I can talk about.
This will be
Oh, yeah.
continued, I'm sure.
So fine. So now, Pam, how can people contact you?
They can contact me by texting my phone number, 267-934-8112, or they can reach me through Facebook, through Messenger, or email PJ Fernsler, my last name, FERNSLER, at Outlook.com. So far, nobody has.
Okay.
So,
Can you give that again more slowly?
the email,
Yes, please.
P as in Paul, J as in Joy, F as in Frank, E, R as in N as in Nitwit, S as in Sam, L as in Lucky, E, R, at Outlook.com.
And you'll answer questions that people might have. Won't
I have
you?
them in
I
my,
mean,
I have the answers in my brain from that incident long ago.
have you thought of writing a book?
The answers only come out if somebody asks. So I don't know all the answers.
Well, couldn't you
I
have someone like Hercules ask you these things and then transcribe them, and there's your book,
He could do that if he likes.
Yeah, So this has been a real joy and a pleasure, and I can only hope this is the first of many chats we'll have. You're just great. And Pam was going to be on my television show, the Diana Montford show on cable, but sadly, computer snafus and Zoom snafus and snafus. So it wasn't possible. But I've learned and enjoyed this wonderful talk, and I hope we have many more. And frankly, I hope our connection is better next time. It was a little fuzzy, a little difficult to understand. But Pam, you're brilliant, you're fascinating, you're just really a unique soul, and planet Earth is very lucky that you're here. That's all I can say.
Well, I'm just Pam. So
there you go. Anyway, my guest has been Pamela Joy Fernsler, who is an amazingly aware and evolved soul who knows so much about so much and is willing to tell us and share her knowledge. I'm Diana Montford. I hesitate to call this the Diana Montford Show. It's been basically a special under the auspices of Hercules Invictus. So, okay, let's call it, I don't know, let's call it anything you like. But it was fascinating, and I hope Pam and I have a chance to talk more. And Hercules, you're an angel. I mean, you put us all on excuse me, podcasts and make this stuff happen, and no one else is doing that. You're really amazing,
Well, thank you very much for your kind words. I think you're incredibly amazing as well. And officially, this is the Diana Montford Show Special Edition. So
there you go.
And
I guess that's it, isn't it?
That's it. Thank you, Pamela, for continuing to share your inner mysteries with us. And thanks to our wonderful audience. We're going to be on YouTube tomorrow. And thank you for joining us here as we claim our territory on this platform as well. Good night, everybody, and thank you very much.
good night.
Good night.